Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Writers Podcast. I'm here today with writer Tara Hodgson. How are you doing, Tara?
I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. And we're here to discuss your newest book, which is At Least I'm Trying.
That's it.
All right. And what can you tell us about your book?
I like to describe this book as Snapchat gone wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically a warning of the potential implications of meeting strangers on the internet.
Okay. Very cool. So before we dive into that, let's find out a little bit about yourself for our listeners. And what can you tell yourself about to us, to the listeners?
Well, I guess I always start off with the fact that I've been a teacher this is my 18th year, I believe, and
Wow.
I have taught junior high almost that entire time. So
Mm,
I think that's why I gravitate towards like young adult and new adult fiction
okay.
because that is my life surrounded by teenagers.
Okay.
Um, I've always loved writing though.
Mm,
Even when I was a little kid, I used to have little notebooks and I would write chapter books and I always wrote in a journal and I never really thought that that was like an option to like actually be a writer
hmm
until just a few years ago. And then I had an idea for a story and it literally like I couldn't not write it.
mm,
So
okay.
it was just waiting for me, and it took me a
hmm
while to get here. But yeah, I still teach, but I just love writing so much.
Awesome. So, were you also a big reader then growing up?
Yes, I read voraciously, like would go to the library every weekend and just get a stack of books and read them all week. And I read all the time,
Okay. And what genres do you like?
all of them.
Okay.
Like I don't love horror. I don't
Okay.
gravitate towards that, but like I'll read fantasy, sci-fi, dystopian,
hmm
contemporary fiction, YA, romance. I'll read anything. Just depends on my mood.
Okay. And do you have any favorite authors?
Many. I
hmm
love John Green, Kathleen Glasgow, V.E. Schwab. Yeah, those are probably the big ones.
Okay. Well,
Taylor
that's
Jenkins Reid. There's another.
okay. That's a broad range
Yeah,
of talent there.
I'm all over
So
the place.
okay, yeah. So you said you got an idea that you just could not write. Now, you mentioned that you kept journals when you were younger, and that, but journaling is a lot different than creative
Mhm.
writing. So how did you find that process of tackling a novel?
Um, I don't know. I actually found for my first book, it fell out of me. Like it was
Okay.
much easier than I thought. I think the hardest
Mm,
part was more just like the mental barriers
okay.
of, oh, you're not a writer. Like, what are you
Oh,
doing?
imposter
That,
syndrome.
oh, I didn't even know what that term meant until I'm like, oh wow, this is it. Like I'm living it right now. And I think I definitely do still experience that, but that was my biggest hurdle with the first book and just that feeling like so writing it is one thing, right? You write it,
hmm
you edit it, you do all the things, and then when it's actually out in the world and people have to read it, it
hmm
was like the most vulnerable experience ever. Like you shed a whole layer of skin and it was that was the hardest part for me. I think it's still very challenging as a very like introverted person, which I think most writers tend to be,
hmm
just having your words on display. And as a person who kept a journal, like that was never meant, my writing was never meant for anyone else.
Right.
So yeah, it was challenging in that sense.
Okay, so how long did it take you to write your first book, which was called Chasing Through Time, correct?
Yeah, that it was less than a year. Like the
Wow.
actual writing was
Mhm.
about 6 months, and then my friend is an editor. She
Mm,
used to teach with me, so we
okay.
worked together on the editing piece, and yeah, so less than a year it was done.
Okay. That's interesting. Given that you are a mother and a teacher,
Hmm.
where did you find the time to write?
Very early mornings.
Okay.
um, and I have a very helpful and supportive husband who would take them
Uh,
away for a while if I needed time to just write. And
mhm.
yeah, that's how I kind of fit it in.
Okay. And do you um did you plot your novel out? Like, did you know how the ending before you wrote it, kind of thing, or how do you approach writing a novel?
Yeah, I am a little combination of, I plot certain points, but then
Hmm.
things happen along the way that I don't ever anticipate happening. For
Okay.
Chasing Through Time, I knew how it was ending. Like I
Mm.
knew those like pivotal moments and then just had to fill in the gaps. For my second book, at least I'm trying, I had no clue how it was going to end. Um,
Okay.
I knew because it's darker subject matter that I needed it to end in like a hopeful way. I don't want to end in like despair,
Right.
but I had no clue how to get there. So I know I went for like lots of walks and just like
Mm.
my brain like constantly like how am I going to get her here? Because
Right.
yeah, she gets into very tricky situations. So yeah,
Hmm.
I knew key moments again, but it was a surprise.
Mm.
Which was kind of fun.
Yeah, cool.
Mhm.
Now, you mentioned that writing is a solitary experience, but do you find that you need to be in contact with other writers to kind of give you the creative juices flowing and things like that?
Yeah, I find for me to get the creative juices writing, well, first of all, my editor is like she's more than just an editor. She's
Hmm.
like my reader through the whole thing, and I
Okay.
can talk to her and reach out to her and have those conversations.
Right.
And reading I find is very helpful for me as well. Like I just need to pick up a book and get that going. And
Hmm.
then movement. Like when I'm really stuck, I have to just stop and go. I just got to go move my body, and then I find like I have my notes app. I'll just pull
Mm.
it out and start like talking into it because things start to just fall into place.
Okay. Um, so both your books have been about teens, correct?
Yeah.
And obviously, with your work background, you always have a lot of creative fields to mine, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Has teenagers changed much since you started teaching?
Yeah, a
Yeah.
1000%. Yeah, that's what inspired my first book
Okay.
was that shift that I saw. I wanted to communicate it somehow because just with the introduction of technology and social media, I've kind of been along for that ride. When
Hmm.
I first started teaching 18 years ago, we still had computer labs that you would go take the kids to, and no one
Right.
had a cell phone. Like that was not a thing.
Right.
And then I saw, the switch over to like flip phones where they could text, but there was no internet use, all the way to now smartphones, and then we're on Chromebooks and they're just constantly behind screens.
Hmm.
And I saw like the mental health implications of that and how many more kids were struggling. And bullying has always been a thing, but now it's so much more intense because they
Hmm.
never get a reprieve from it. They can't just go home. If I had a bad day at school, I could go home and be free for a while.
Right.
They don't have that opportunity anymore because it follows them in their back pockets.
Mm.
And like, I got kids who are on their screens for 14 hours a day. Like that's their average daily screen time.
Wow.
It's mind blowing.
Hmm.
Uh, so definitely that's like a focus of my books is, these phones are the main characters of their lives, whether we want
Right.
to admit that or not. So there's so
Hmm.
many challenges that come along with that that I felt were not being talked about in a real authentic way.
Awesome. Now, yeah, it definitely is a very ripe field for creative fiction, for sure. I'm
Mhm.
curious, have you ever had a student come up to you and say, "I read your book and this is what I thought of it," or?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I have very supportive little group of students who actually I have a group who are my beta readers.
Mm.
And one girl in particular, she took both my manuscripts and just like had a color coded legend and crossed things off like nobody would ever say that. No, they wouldn't
Okay.
wear that. Like she just was so wonderful. But yeah,
Oh.
I've had a few kids come, and one in particular, she was struggling with her mental health, and she's like, I just really connected with
Mm.
the character in Chasing Through Time, and they read it during our silent reading sometimes, which is such a weird experience. They're
Mhm.
wonderful. Yeah, they come to my
Awesome.
signings and
Oh, wow. That's
mhm,
that's fantastic. So
mhm.
so even with all the technology challenges that they face, they're still hungry to share their experiences with you.
Yeah, some are readers still, thank
Mhm.
goodness, because
Mm.
there's so many who are not interested in
Yeah.
books at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's everybody's just glued to videos or whatnot
Hmm.
nowadays. So uh,
Yeah.
and quick quick little bites of information as well. Like a book is obviously quite a time commitment as compared to a 2 minute uh,
Yeah.
Snapchat video or
And
whatnot.
it's that like sustained attention, right? To get to the
Hmm.
good part, which so many kids they're unable to do it. Not even that they're unwilling, their brains are incapable of it now.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So let's dive a little bit more into your book then. At least I'm trying. Did you base it on any real life incidents or?
Not that I have experienced, thank
Okay.
goodness, but I
Okay.
did do a copious amount of research and went into a really dark hole of
Hmm.
despair for a while. So
Okay.
definitely real. It's happening, I think, more than people realize. And
Hmm.
actually, the what triggered the idea for it was overhearing a conversation of some students talking about snap maps, which
Hmm.
is a feature of Snapchat where anyone who follows you can see your real-time location.
Oh, geez.
And they all keep this on. It's like they keep tabs on each other,
Oh, yeah.
but they also friend people that they don't know.
Hmm.
So that kind of like got my ideas going, and I started to do some research on is, our Snapchat tools, like those online tools, used for people to be
Okay.
targeted by predators. And
Hmm.
sure enough, they are used all the time.
Right.
Mhm.
So, what's your story about then?
So yeah, Reese is my main character, and she is a girl I've actually seen in my teaching career. I would say like a multitude of girls kind of clumped into
Hmm.
one.
Okay.
This girl who is striving for perfection all the time and puts so much pressure on herself to be the best athlete, the best student, get the top grades, get into this best schools,
Hmm.
this whole list of just pressure, pressure, pressure.
Right.
And so Reese is the best until she's not, and she
Mm.
experiences failure for the first time. And instead of, tackling that failure, she has no skills to do that, and she gives up entirely and kind of finds a new path and meets some new friends. And this leads to her meeting a man from Snapchat who
Mm.
is older than her and exciting and mysterious. And things really fall apart for her after that. But she doesn't trust her instincts enough to back off.
Hmm.
She ignores the warnings and ignores the little voice in her head, ignores her gut feelings, and she goes on a trip with him, and things really go south.
Okay. Uh, Without giving anything away, it has a happy ending.
It does.
That
Well,
sounds pretty dark.
yeah, Reese, I put her through the ringer, and I did base her story on a lot of real stories that I researched. She is not like your typical victim of,
Mm.
grooming and of predators, but because she has no adults kind of keeping tabs on her, she she doesn't trust herself. She is in this really vulnerable position.
Okay.
She does end up going through a very horrific experience.
Okay.
However, I think for both of my books, because it is dealing with, these dark, real situations,
Hmm.
I want to give a happy ending. It's hopeful, but it's
Hmm.
not like everything's tied up in a perfect bow because that's
Okay.
not real life.
Right.
So Reese, we see her have hope at the end of her dark path.
Mm.
Yeah, I couldn't leave. I couldn't
Right.
leave her in despair.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned earlier that you don't like horror, yet it
Hmm.
sounds like you're writing pretty dark stories.
Yeah, this I guess would be real life horror, like,
Right.
not your zombies or ghosts or murder, like slasher or whatever. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's real life horror, and I think one of my goals as a writer is very much to touch on subjects that people maybe, they don't want to recognize as reality,
Hmm.
but I want to spark those conversations, especially seeing what I do as a teacher. And, there are kids who have these snap maps open all the time to anyone everywhere in the world. Like
Yeah.
anyone could walk to school, drive to our school and find them.
Wow.
And, we assume that our kids are safe when they're sitting at home,
Right.
but then we give them access to the whole entire world at their fingertips. So they're sitting in their
Yeah.
bedroom doing who knows what. So my
Yeah.
goal is definitely to spark some maybe difficult conversations.
Hmm. Yeah. That whole, like, I didn't know that was a function of Snapchat, like,
Yeah.
because um obviously I'm an older generation, but I've grown up with, the whole thing of Big Brother, and I don't want the government to be following me. So the idea that I'm freely allowing people to follow my movements just kind of blows my mind. Like,
Yeah. And they don't even think about it. Like when I ask them about it, they, oh, whatever. No
yeah,
one's gonna come and get me. I'm like, but
yeah,
that's no, that's not how it works.
that's such a mind shift.
Yeah,
That's scary.
it is scary. And I think if that's the one thing that people take away when they read it,
hmm
like we need to actually check in on our kids on their phones. Like
Right.
have those conversations. Why is that not an appropriate tool to use?
Yeah. So you must have some interesting conversations with your children.
Yes, oh, my kids know their boundaries are laid out very clearly. I'm very passionate on like with not withholding technology because that's
Right.
not realistic,
No.
but clear conversations, clear boundaries. Like there will be no smartphones yet. My oldest kid is 10, but
hmm
many of his friends already have smartphones and he gets messages like he has an old phone that sits in our kitchen and I'll sometimes look in the morning and some people are messaging him at 10 years old at 12:30 in the morning.
Mm.
Like what?
Yeah.
So they know.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So you've written this book, and you have your previous one. Do you consider the both of these to be YA
Um,
or?
yeah, my at least I'm trying. I would say it's definitely older YA, more new adult.
hmm
But actually, both are very much have been like a lot of adults have really resonated with them.
hmm
So my first book has two timelines, and one of the timelines is a girl in high school in 2001. So a
Mm.
lot of people my age have connected. It's a little bit
Okay.
nostalgic in that sense. And then with At Least I'm Trying, because there's more of like a thriller aspect, and it is older teens, and a lot of adults have really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So, mhm.
I'm curious, given the impact that social media and technology is having with teenagers, is there anything in school curriculum about how to deal with that? Like, it sounds like your books would be a good teaching instrument for kids as well. Is that something that you've considered, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would love it to be used as a teaching tool because I think, if adults read it, kids read it, then wow, we have this like amazing opportunity to now let's talk about it. Like,
hmm
what happened? Why did Reese do this? Why should we not do this? I feel like our health curriculum is really lagging.
Okay.
I'm from Alberta, Canada.
hmm
So there is like some mention of like digital citizenship and, those types
hmm
of things, but it's such a like surface level conversation. It's
Okay.
not diving really that deep into it. So
Yeah.
I definitely think, yeah, I think everywhere it's kind of behind because technology is moving so fast
Right.
and
Yeah.
curriculum changes very slow.
Sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I Yeah, I would say that some sort of curriculum dealing directly with social media would
Yeah,
should almost become mandatory.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you've written two books now. Where are you right now in your creative thought process?
Yeah, I have so many ideas. And I
Mm,
think just, the climate of today, and if I want to continue on this journey of, following this similar theme, there's just ideas constantly every time I, watch the news or open up
mhm.
my own phone. So yeah, I'm like 50,000 words into my third YA novel.
Mm,
And then in At Least I'm Trying, there's a character named Cassie, and I've had many people reach out asking about her story. And then I just kind of had this whole kind of story. I wrote it all down. So I think I'm gonna return to the world of At Least I'm Trying here too.
okay.
Mhm.
Um, do you foresee ever writing a series? Because series are obviously a very big commodity in the writing fiction world, especially. You're writing standalone so far.
Mhm.
Is that the way you think you're going to keep going, or do you ever see yourself tackling a series?
I mean, I'm kind of open to anything at this point. I guess I
hmm
gotta see. Like I never thought I would return to At Least I'm Trying, but now I'm like, oh, I totally have a full second book laid out. So
Oh, okay,
it could, I'm not gonna say no to anything because
sure.
whatever kind of strikes me is what I'm gonna go with. So
Okay.
mhm.
Well, I think you've tapped into a very ripe field for sure, and I wish you all the best with all your books. And is there anything that you would like to mention that hasn't come up yet?
I don't think so. Just yeah, I think a lot of people have said you know, I maybe my books aren't as approachable because of the dark subject matter, but
Right.
I do think like the people who have read them are like, wow, this was so necessary.
Hmm.
Um, so you know, we read dark stuff all the time, you know, the horror and
Hmm.
zombies, whatever it is. This is, I think, critical. Like I think these conversations need to happen. So it might be harder at times, but it's so necessary, I think, to be
Okay.
talking about these things.
Right. I'm going to throw out a comparison for you that maybe I
Hmm.
don't know you've heard before, but I find it interesting because I am a big horror fan. As you can see, I
Yeah,
have Stephen King's my favorite writer.
yeah.
In some ways, I think you've tapped into the modern parallel of Carrie.
Oh wow, yeah, right.
Yeah, like where people are ostracized for being
Hmm.
different, and this is obviously a different flavor of that, but it's kind of tapping into the same field of people trying to find themselves at a very vulnerable stage of their life. So anyhow, I'll
Yeah,
just throw that out at you.
oh,
Just
I'll take that.
so that's pretty cool. Well, I wish you all the best with your future projects, and I want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Take care until your next book,
Yeah,
and then hopefully you come back on and we'll talk about it as well.
absolutely.
All right, take
Awesome.
care, Tara. Enjoy the rest
You
of your day.
too. Thank
Okay,
you.
bye bye.